All right, I'm going to sit here and teach as much as I can about reading tablature over the next few minutes. Now, some people say, well, you shouldn't use tab, and it's true, nobody uses tab at a jam, nobody uses tab on stage. Learning by ear is probably better, whatever. But if you live somewhere where bluegrass isn't, it's hard to find somebody to learn from, tab is great. I learned a lot from tab. Then there was a place where tab did me no good, and turned on my ears. I was fine, okay? So I don't think it's the worst thing in the world if you live in a bluegrass desert. Illinois, for example. Not really a bluegrass desert. There's a lot of good pickers around here. But, we're not in East Tennessee or anything like that. Okay, so the most important thing to know about tab is counting. Rhythm first, rhythm first, rhythm first. So here I have written quarter notes and eighth notes in 4/4 time. And the quarter notes, most people will count them 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Or I've seen teachers teach this, and I kind of like it, where you go ahead and count the and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Because that sets up your eighth notes from the beginning, and I really like this. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, then the eighth notes here. They've got this little flag on them. And the flag could be connected like that. The flag could be disconnected, look like that. It's the same thing. It's got a flag at the bottom of it. Okay, now we've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So you see the way we counted our quarter notes helps us count our eighth notes if we count them like that. So whether you do that or the old way of just saying 1, 2, 3, 4, either way, you're going to be okay. Okay? So now it's the mixing of quarter and eighth notes that starts to make things interesting. Okay? So I'm going to start writing out a rhythm. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. Okay, and I'll put in the counting down there too. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now so here I've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, again, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Now, some people might say, well, you haven't done anything with pickstrokes yet. Yes, right. Pickstrokes are not essential for counting. Pickstrokes, the alternating pickstrokes, help us along the way to learn how to play a flat picking guitar, but the counting really comes first. But yes, it is common for us to go on a pair of eighth notes down and then up, and then on all the quarter notes to go down. Let's try different combinations of notes. Here's a quarter, a pair of eighths, and 2 quarters. Right? So what would the count be? Let's see. It would be 1 and. This is beat 2 and 3 and 4 and. So starting in the blue measure, ready, go. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Or if you prefer, 1, 2 and 3, 4. Okay? Now let's try another one of these. Okay? So we could see we've got measures that add up to 4. 1. Everything's going to add up to 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so let's talk about that. Let's talk about time signatures. Okay, here's the time signature. You see right there at the beginning of the piece, it says 4/4. What does that mean, 4/4? Okay, I'm going to open up my little time signature window here. Okay, you can see there's all different kinds of options. Here's 2, 2, 2, 4, 3, 4, 4, 4, 6, 8, 12, 8, all these different things. And then I can have these little dialog boxes. Now this isn't just for this program. This program uses music knowledge. Now you see the bottom dialog box doesn't have very many options. Okay, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, 32. That's interesting. The top dialog box has all different kinds of numbers. Okay, here's what it is. When you've got your thing, it says 4, 4. It looks like a fraction. It's not a fraction. It's an instruction. The top number tells you how many counts per measure. How many counts per measure. The bottom number tells you what kind of count it is. Okay? So 4, 4 means there's 4 counts per measure. The bottom number 4 doesn't mean 4. It means a quarter note. It means there's 4 quarter notes per measure. Okay? Because if I change this bottom number here, now it's 4, 8. So that means 4 eighth notes per measure. Okay? If I change that bottom number to 16, that means there's 4 16th notes per measure. If I change it to 2, that means there's 4 half notes per measure. Now, there's no rules about how many notes you can have in a measure. I could have measures of 1, 4. I could have measures of 8, 4. I could have measures of 34. I could have measures of 137, 4. It doesn't matter. Okay? A lot of bluegrass music is in 2, 4 or 3, 4 time or 4, 4 time. Some of it's in 6, 8 time. So those we see quite a bit. Sometimes you'll get a Wild Bela Fleck song that has 5, 4 time in it, something like that. The song we have here is 4, 4 time. So that means I'm going to have 4 beats per measure. Now, what's a measure? Well, a measure is from this line to this line. This line to this line. That's a measure. That's one measure. So you can see here visible, I've got 4 measures visible in my tab. A couple more here, right? Okay. Good. Okay, so let's talk tempo. Let's talk tempo. Now, here at the beginning of this tab, it has a quarter note equals 100. Okay? Now, if you look at the clock on the wall, your clock is 60. Your clock is beating 1 click per second. That's 60 beats a minute, okay? Well, a metronome is a clock that could be set to any number. And so this is set to quarter note equals 100. Okay? But again, I could set that to anything. Now, in a lot of tabs, you know, I don't worry too much about the number. I just got to learn the song. So I got to slow it way down to learn the song. You know, here's an example. Here's quarter note equals 120. I changed that value of that quarter note. But I could also have a different kind of note. I could have a half note equals, say a half note equals 106. Why not? Okay? You know, normally I'll see a quarter note equals something. Now, bluegrass time tends to be, it's a little hard to explain, but bluegrass time tends to be double of whatever it is. If you hear a professional band playing and people will say, oh, that's 120. Really, that's quarter note equals 240, which is clipping right along. Okay. So we have a tempo, which is the pace of the beat. So 1, 2, 3, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and we have measures, which are how many beats measure is the line to there, and then how many beats per measure. So in this case, 4, 4 quarter notes per measure. And then we know that the rhythm is the most important thing. So whatever tab we're looking at, the rhythm is the most important thing. Okay, so now let's talk rests. Okay, I'm going to write out 4 quarter notes again. Okay, 4 quarter notes. Now here I have a deck of cards. Okay, here's a magic trick. I say pick a card, any card. Okay, hold them out to you. All right, you reach and pick. Okay, you can't. Well, I'll grab one. Okay, now I picked a card. You see it? I don't see it. I know I'm looking at the monitor, but I promise you I don't see it. So there it is, 10 of clubs. Oh, 10 of clubs. Okay, now I put the rest of the cards over here. You don't see those anymore. Okay, what's on the back of that? It's like some kind of red design. Okay, some kind of red design. Now I'm looking at that. You see it says 10 of clubs. What's on the back? A red design. Okay, here's the trick now. Ready? I'm going to go like this 3 times. Let's remember what the card was. 10 of clubs. Okay, go like this 3 times. It passes behind my hand. Passes in front of my hand. What card am I holding? You're right. It's the 10 of clubs. Right? It's the same thing. There's a front side to the card and there's a back side to the card. Well, notes are the same thing. There's a front side and a back side to a note. The back side is called a rest. Okay, so let's look at the computer. Here I've got 4 quarter notes. Now all I'm going to do, I'm going to flip a card over. And here's what's on the back side, a rest. The rest looks like that. That's the symbol for a quarter rest. Now, the word rest in the English language means I sit down on this bench here for a while you go on, I'll catch up, right? But so we think rest means I pause for a second. Whatever that second is, I don't know. But that's not what it means. The rhythm has not changed just because. Just like if I got 4 cards sitting here, I got 4 cards sitting here, okay? And I flip one of them over, there's still 4 cards. It's still there. So the timing has not changed. So what was 1, 2, 3, 4 is still 1, 2, 3, 4. Nothing has changed. So, like a lot of times what I teach people to do is whisper the rests. Whisper the rests, okay? So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, 4. Or if you're counting with the ands, 1 and 2. Oops, I did it wrong. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and, okay? Whisper that rest so that you keep the time in your mind when you're counting. Now I could put a rest, put the note back there on any beat. I'll put it on beat 1. 1. Here, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So I really keep that rest solid. Okay? Do not change time for the rest. I put that on beat 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. I whisper the rest, okay? Now, what about, we're so far up here, we've worked in quarter notes and eighth notes. So let's look at the eighth notes. Okay, here's the eighth notes. Okay, there's my eighth notes. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay, so I could pick any of those to be a rest. Let's pick this one. And now you can see what an eighth rest looks like. I don't know what's that look like. A little 7, something like that. So I'm going to say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. I might write this one out. Let's see. So I'll say 1 and, oops. So I'll put up here, this program, I can't put a text under a rest, but I'll put it up there. Say 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Right? So now I can play that 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. Okay? So with this now, let's try it on a different beat. Okay? So there's another set of eighth notes. Okay, and I'll to this beat, and I'll turn that into a rest. And I'll say 1 and 2 and I'll have to put this one in parentheses up here because my computer program doesn't like putting notes under words under rest. Okay, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so I like to whisper the rest. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay, so with this combination of things, quarter notes and eighth notes, and then their flip side, the rest, the negative to the positive, all their rest. You can get all different kinds of rhythms out of this. All different kinds of rhythms can start to appear by using this stuff. Okay. So how would I count this? I'd say 1. So this would be 1, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then 1, 2. I'd whisper the 3 because it's turned over. 3 and 4 and. Now somebody might ask, why don't you say and? What's this with and? And I was taught when I was in college that and, if you say and, it slows the tongue down to count. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and you don't get this crisp count. And I think this is a problem a lot of people have is when they count, especially for people like me who are from the the Midwest, where we all talk like newscasters. They get all the newscasters from the Midwest because we talk in these broad words that we think people can understand. Well, you get somebody like me and we start going 1, 2, 3, and 4, and back to you, Jim. And it's like, that has no rhythmic value to it. You got to count rhythmically. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and okay? Before we ever tackle the notes in a tab, we need to tackle the rhythm in the tab, okay? So coming up, we're gonna grab a tab, and I'm gonna show you how to do that, okay? All right, so we are going to look at a tab that I didn't write. I found a tab on the internet. This is by Eric Sky, a fine flat picker from the Pacific Northwest, and this is his version of Bill Cheatham, okay? So we're gonna look at Eric's tab, and we're gonna see what information we can learn from it. Okay, so here we have his tab. We see that it's in 4/4 time, so we know that there's 4 quarter notes per measure. Up here it says he's capo 2. This is Bill Cheatham. You can go to ericsky.com and find his free fiddle tune tabs on there. Now it's very tempting to jump right in and start playing notes, but if you do that, something is wrong right away. And what we want to do is start with right. What's the first thing you do when you build a house? You dig a hole in the ground and you get that foundation set and you start putting bricks together, and they have to be good bricks. The rest of the house isn't going to work if the bricks aren't solid. So we need something right from the beginning. So what's going to be correct for us right from the beginning is the rhythm. So here I've got this, and I'm going to count this out loud as I point this little finger or this little cursor here. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and now if it helps you to think of the eighth notes or to think of the quarter notes and say the and with them, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, and I like that technique because that makes sure from the beginning that the quarter notes and eighth notes have the exact right difference between them. So it's never a guess. And here's what I would recommend. As boring as this is, play all of it on one string, as if they're all a bunch of zeros written on one string. So I say 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. So we are learning the rhythm first, okay? Now come down here to the second line. I'll do the same thing. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3. Now he's got these two lines in parentheses. I believe what that means is that you do that maybe the second time through. This looks like a repeat sign, which means I'm going to repeat that whole section. So I think that would be for the second time through is what makes sense to me. So again, this is Eric's tab. You know, we have to interpret what we think he meant. Okay, so now I think you could start putting notes into it. But I would say maybe one time poke through the notes. You know, if you just have to hear what every note sounds like one after another, do that about once. But then start learning it as a song, always in rhythm. Never learn anything that's not in rhythm, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, and 2, and 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3. Now, if you did that, maybe you would only get to about here, and you'd make a mistake, okay? And you'd have to figure out what to do next, or have to go back to the beginning. You have to work out this part, go back and put it in. But still, don't do too much just poking around outside of the rhythm of the song, okay? The rhythm is so essential to get. Really, 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 really get the rhythm down, okay? So the next thing we're going to talk about with the bluegrass is the pickstrokes. And I specifically mean on these 4/4 fiddle tunes, okay? So I'm going to jump back to the other side now, and we're going to talk about pickstrokes. Now with bluegrass guitar and flat picking guitar in 4/4 time, the down and up pickstrokes become really important for helping us keep time and for eventually for being able to play at a higher rate of speed. And bluegrass is known for having that higher rate of speed. So the basic thing here is the quarter notes are down and the eighth note pairs are down and up. So when I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, those are all downstrokes. And when I've got 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and those are all down up strokes, okay? So down on the numbers, up on the ands. And then you can check yourself on these different rhythms. So here's one right here that we wrote out earlier. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. That's going to be down, up, down, down, okay? But I would say the rhythm is the important thing. Get the rhythm first, because if you just think it's down, up, down, up, down, down, you might do that out of rhythm. Down, up, down, up, down, down. No rhythm to it. So that's not right. 1 and 2 and 3, 4. That has rhythm to it, so that's correct. So now, whether the pick strokes are written in, I can write them in pretty quick on something like that. 1, 2, and 3, 4. 1, 2, and 3, 4. Or whether they're not written in. It's still the same rule. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now what about rests? What I like to do on a rest, just like I said, I like to whisper when I count, whisper the rest. I like to physically swipe and miss, just like a Chicago Cup. Swing and miss. So 1, 2, 3, 4, so that my hand is still keeping the rhythm. Like if I had 4 rests there, 1, 2, 3, 4. Just played them all. 1, 2, 3, 4, and a swing and a miss. Strike 3. Okay. Now this gets really interesting with a set of 8th notes. And I'll have students do this. I'll say, okay, now play 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay. So I just played 8 strokes, down up, down up, down up, down up. Now miss them all. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay. Now miss on count 2. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and now that's getting a little challenging. Now miss on count 3. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay. And you can see this program, which is called Guitar Pro, even puts the Pickstrokes in parentheses. The down, it'll put it in parentheses whenever there's a rest. The parentheses goes away as soon as I take that away. Now, if you're faced with a tab that doesn't have the Pickstrokes written in, if you're still learning, you could write the Pickstrokes in. I think that'd be a really smart thing to do. You don't have to. If you know the rule, you can just follow the rule. But it's something that at first might seem silly, but later becomes really important. And if you learn it as a habit, again, it's a building block that's going to be a strong foundational building block for you. So let's look at that tab again and see if we can see how to do the Pickstrokes on that tab. Okay, here's Eric's tab of Bill Cheatham again, and we see the count at the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and okay. Now, just because these here are not beamed in 2 notes, these are beamed in 4 notes, they're still 8th notes. They have a single beam or a single flag at the bottom. They are still 8th notes. So, 1, 2, 3. These should all be down. 1, 2, 3. This 4 and that is down up. All the 8th notes here are down up, and all the quarter notes here are down. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and that followed the correct counting, rhythm first, that followed the correct pick strokes, and now you're doing something really right. I do think with that many notes, it might be a really good idea to write in pick strokes. When you're learning a song like this, yes, listen to the song, but even if you didn't know the song, you should still be able to figure out, you should still be able to mathematically play it by following the quarter notes and 8th notes on the page. Okay, so next time we'll get into some more complicated rhythms, maybe not just quarter and 8th notes, but some other rhythmic values, ties, combinations of notes, some different things. But there's a foundation for flat picking. Okay, so thank you very much for getting through this. My name's Andy. I have some stuff at andyslessons.com, and have a great day.